Alrighty, good morning everyone and welcome back to Wildlife Sydney Zoo here in the beautiful Darling Harbour. My name is Renee and today we're doing something a little bit different. So over the past few weeks you may have seen us meet a few of our little critters and give them a bit of their food. But today we'll be learning about one of the most important parts of being a zookeeper, and that is of course the diet and nutrition of our animals. So come along and I'll head on into the kitchen and show you a little bit about what we do in order to give our animals the best food possible. So what we're going to do is we're coming into our kitchen. So this is our kitchen here. We do actually share it with Sea Life Sydney Aquarium, but in this door here is our refrigerator. So we do actually have all of our beautiful koala leaf here to the side. So that is fed out every single day to our gorgeous koalas. And then over on our shelves, we have the food that we will feed out during the day. So you can see it is quite empty at the moment because the food is still being prepared. But once it is prepared, it will come into this fridge and it'll be ready for us to feed out to our gorgeous animals tomorrow. And then as we come over to this side, I won't spend too long in here because I am prone to the cold. But this is our freezer area. It does have all of our frozen produce and of course our meat that we feed out to our carnivores. So like I mentioned, it's very cold in here, so I'm going to head on back out and we'll go back into our kitchen where we will be meeting one of our keepers who is actually preparing some of our diets for you today. So I'm going to come around this corner here and we do have Maddy. Hey Maddy, how are you doing?
Well, thanks. How is everybody going today? Well guys, welcome to our food preparation area. This morning I have been working hard. I start a little bit before most of our keepers, coming about an hour earlier. And that's just to ensure that I can get all of the food for our birds specifically ready really bright and early, so that when those keepers start, they're ready to go. They've got fresh food to start for the day. So lots of our bird species are hungry first thing in the morning when the sun comes up, so they're waiting around for us to start our mornings. But I'm not feeding some birds right now. What I'm actually doing is preparing our greater bilby diet. So you can see here I've got some fresh fruit and vegetables, and here I've got some of their dry diet as well. So we've got some kibble, some dog kibble here. We've got some finch seed, and we have some little mealworms as well. Now guys, I will get a little bit to supplements in a minute, but I just want to finish doing this bilby diet with you all. So if you have a look at this iPad over here, you'll be able to see it says nocturnal diets all into pink tub. Then it says bilbies here. Now all of this is what we're going to feed the bilbies every single day. Now we follow this to a T so that all our animals are nutritionally supplemented with all of the things that they need, but they also have enough food. There's not going to be food competition between the groups. But if we have a look a little bit down here in this table, we'll see supplements. Now I've got Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and the weekend. And we can see that there are some different items that we give to these animals every single day. Now being a Tuesday, we're going to be adding 20 grams of sliced pumpkin. So I've got my pumpkin here ready. And this means when it says sliced, we're talking about a specific way to cut the fruit or vegetable to ensure that those animals are going to be able to eat it correctly. Potentially it might be cleaning their teeth. So if you think about a bilby mouth, it'll be able to go along this piece of pumpkin, and maybe it will help with its cleaning its teeth, keeping its mouth nice and healthy and happy. So we're going to add 20 grams. So we'll tear our little scales there. And let's see what my guessing was like. Bang on. Bang on. Well done. So that's 20 grams. And we do have 3 individual bilbies in our collection. So having 3 pieces is a really good idea. So we know there's not going to be competition, and there's enough for everybody to have a little bit to eat as well. Now we do need to add some apple to their diet as well. If we look back on here, it says 35 grams of diced apple. Now again, we're going to be dicing it as the instructions tell us. And this might be so that there's plenty to go around. There's going to be, again, no competition. And we want to make sure that they're able to eat it in a way that is really nice and healthy for that species. So we'll chop a little bit more up.
So Ernest says hello from Hong Kong. So hello, Ernest.
Oh, from Hong Kong.
And Liz from UK says good morning. So good morning, Liz, to you as well. We do have one question that's come in from Julie. And she says, hello, Ivy, 5 years old, wants to know what type of meat do we feed the carnivores?
Now that's a tricky question. I might actually go and grab some. But here at Wildlife, we do have a variety of carnivorous animals. We've got some birds, we've got some mammals, and we also have some reptiles who are carnivores as well. So we make sure that we do a diet that is as healthy for that species as possible, but also as kind of natural as their natural diet. So as close to that natural diet as we possibly could. Now, lots of animals are going to be eating things like small marsupials or mammals here in Australia. So we would kind of emulate that with something like rodents. They might also eat rodents naturally in the wild. Things like chicks, so they might, a python might come down to a bird's nest and take the eggs or the actual chicks from that nest. So we do try and vary their diet, obviously not with a native species of bird, but maybe with a chicken or a quail.
Excellent. And Fraser says hello from Tasmania. So hello, Fraser.
Lovely.
And g'day to you too, Cara. But we're going to chop up some carrot here. We're just finishing off the last of the bilby diet and we'll show you a little bit more. But as you can see, just behind Maddie here, we do have all of our fruits and vegetables out nice and ready to feed our animals. So our food is human grade. If I wouldn't eat it, I would not feed it to my animals. So it is all lovely produce that we get delivered really quite frequently during the week. But there we go, there's that pink tub that the iPad did say, and that is for our nocturnal animals.
Now guys, I have actually prepped a little bit of food this morning to show you a little bit of the variation in types of diet that we have here at the zoo. So another nocturnal species is our Spinifex hopping mouse. They're a tiny little mouse the size of a house mouse that you would think of, or a pet mouse, but they kind of hop like a kangaroo, have a little kind of frizzy tail on the end. Now this is the start of their diet. I've done 170 grams of fruits and vegetables, a nice variety. We like to mix it up as much as possible with our Spinifex hopping mice. And then you can see some finch seed all over at the top as well. Now what we do need to add to this, I was talking about supplements before, and often they are based on a nutritional need for these animals. Now when we're talking about Spinifex hopping mice, our supplement is going to be some rodent cubes. So we're going to add about 20 rodent cubes, and this will be just for one day. So we have over 30 individual Spinifex hopping mice, so we want to make sure that there is enough to go around. Now, if you do have a close look at one of these rodent cubes, you can't feel it obviously, but I can describe that it is extremely hard. It is a very, very hard kind of nut-like feeling to these cubes, and this plays a very important role in this species' diet. Now, it's for overall health. Obviously they're getting nutritional value, but they actually have teeth, just like rabbits or maybe even our many of our other rodent species that would be native or non-native to Australia. They have incisors that will continually grow. So you might have heard from maybe your vet when you're talking about pets at home, like a rabbit, that it is very important to make sure that we give our animals enough foods or maybe even enrichment items to chew on to make sure that those teeth are ground down. Now these rodent cubes, that's exactly the role that they're playing for our Spinifex hopping mice, to ensure that their dental health is at the utmost of kind of keeping on top of any teeth problems we could possibly have. Now that's a nice supplement for them today.
So that's a 20 rodent cubes in there, and that's what they'll munch on all day.
And that's going to go into our nocturnal tub as well. Now some of the other things I've made up over here, guys, is some bug food. Now I'm sure many of you would have tuned into our amazing live stream with Beck and Tiff about many of our bugs and spiders. So this is for our bugs. So we're talking things like yabbies, we're talking things like our snails, plenty of our worms, or maybe even beetles. These are all going to be a nice healthy diet, And like Renee said, it looks perfectly good for you to have for dinner. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this food. So make sure that it's all nice and healthy because we want our animals to be as healthy as possible. Now, as you can see, guys, these are large pieces of food. So these animals are going to come along, they're going to chew little parts of it off, and that's going to supplement enough of what they need for their daily diet. But when we're talking about the differences in food, you can see kind of similar items in these two bowls, but very different presentation. Now, this bowl is actually a bowl of lizard mix. So we've got, again, some apples, some carrots, some greens, a nice variety of greens, a few sprouts. And this is what we would feed to most of our lizards here at the zoo. So we obviously, they're not going to be coming across something like this in their wild diet. So we make sure that we give it to them in a way that they can easily eat it. Now, guys, I'm not sure if any of you are lucky enough to have lizards that might live in your backyard, but you might come across an issue with your veggie patch. Having a little munch on it every now and again, and that's exactly why. Lizards are quite often omnivorous, so they need to eat, meat products or insects, as well as some of their nice greens as well. So this will feed some of our shinglebacks, our frilled-neck lizards, maybe even something as small as a night skink. So we have Nigel the night skink, and he'll get a very tiny little portion, chopped up nice and fine, especially for him as well. So this goes to show the different kind of thought we need to put into presenting our food to each of our individual species. This one is what we would call a bird fruit mix.
Looks delicious.
You can see they're spoiled with a bit of pomegranate, a little bit of fig, some hard fruits, some soft fruits. And this actually is part of the birds mix that I was talking about that I made up very early this morning for the keepers. And we put it in with a whole bunch of greens, a whole bunch of frozen fruits and vegetables, and some different seeds as well. Now, some of the seeds I can show you guys as well. They're actually prepared in a really specific way. So if you have a look over here, you can see this seed is kind of wet looking, and it's what we call soaked seed. So you can see these mung beans here, the casing of it has started to crack open. Now this is what we call a soaked seed. So we've been soaking it in a special kind of water solution overnight. It actually gets soaked for 2 days. So 1 day completely submerged under the water and day 2 out of the water. So it means that the birds are able to digest and intake those seeds in a different way along with their dry seed as well. So lots of thought and effort goes into each of our different types of meals for our animals. And a few different birds that have a bit of a different diet, which if of any of you who may be joining us from Sydney today, may actually recognise. So I've got a tub of it over here to show you. This is what we call our lorikeet dry diet. Now, if you guys could smell through the phone, you'd probably think it was some sort of milkshake treat that you would like to have at
delicious.
home. It is absolutely so sweet smelling. Now, this is what we call a complete diet. I'll show you the little bag that Renee was passing along. So many vets or dietitians, animal nutritionists have come up with some ways to supplement animals, whether they be animals here in care, in a zoo situation, or maybe even animals that are in rehabilitation at a vet clinic or with a wildlife carer. So sometimes it's hard to actually emulate exactly what they would eat in the wild. So we've got some amazing vets and vet dietitians who have come up with some really good ways to give those animals exactly what they need. So our lorikeets, they do get some of this amazing dry lorikeet mix as part of their diet every day. But I've also made up some fruit spikes for them as well. So if you have a look at the back here, you can see I've kind of put a little hole. Now this will actually be put onto a kind of spike in the animal's exhibit to mean that they're able to stay there nice and stationary, and they're able to eat that nice fruit as well.
They are spoilt with that fruit choice.
Very spoilt. So guys, bringing ourselves to some of these dry diets, I would like to show you a few of our storage mechanisms, but I would also just like to point you out to a little bucket here that we have that doesn't look so enticing. Now guys, if you have a look here, this kind of would look like something that maybe at home you would feed to your worm farm, maybe your chickens if you've got chickens in your backyard, or maybe just pop in your compost. But here at the zoo, we actually have some animals that we look after every day. As a food prep person today, that's my role, to look after them, who play one of the most important roles here at the zoo. Now these scraps are not going to go to waste. Not a single thing that we have when we do food prep goes to waste, because we have some little friends like these mealworms. Now guys, I will take you through to our insect rooms, and I'll show you a little bit of the way that we use this waste as an actual diet for some of our insects. So we'll head over this way.
So as we come through this door here, this is where we store all of our dry diets. So you would have seen the containers that Maddy had out, and then we do have bins that have some of our hay in there, and then these tubs over here are for our seeds.
See some of the larger dry seed rather than that soaked seed that we had before.
Excellent. But I'll follow you in, Maddy, and we'll see if we can see some of our insects. So we'll just turn off the filter so it is a little bit quieter. But we are taking the best care of these animals. Even though they are a food source, we do have a filtration system, and all of our care goes into them as much as it does to our animals. So what do we have here, Maddy?
So this is actually not an insect, but a crustacean. You can see this nice secure crate allows the water that's filtered, like Renee was saying, to enter and exit quite happily. And inside here,
you would have met these little guys on our platypus live stream. So you can see them right there.
So these are the humble yabby. Now guys, if we have a look at the food that they have got in here, they have done a number on their food last night. You can see this is a bit of leftover corn. Like I said, nothing goes to waste here at Wildlife Sydney Zoo, so they've done a great job of eating that. So today we'll give them a little bit of pear, a few greens. Everyone's got to have their greens whether we like it or not. They have a variety. They're not picky and fussy like lots of our other animals here at the zoo. They're happy to consume most of this. And when we're talking about feeding our live food, or our yabbies or our mealworms, or some of the other animals and insects that we might meet along the way, it is actually one of our most important jobs here at the zoo. Simply for the reason that we want our other animals, like maybe our snakes, our lizards, our birds, to have the best nutritionally valuable food they possibly can have. Now this does mean that if they're going to eat the yabby, like the platypus do, they need to be fueled with the best fuel. Now that is of course this nice fresh fruit and vegetable. While it does look like a scrap, it does still give these animals the best nutrition, to mean that filters through to our other animals that you might commonly see around the zoo. So we'll shut these guys up before they do a little bit of escaping. They're not a fun individual to catch if they do escape. We'll pop them back in the water.
Alrighty. And now, where are we headed to now, Maddy?
A few more invertebrates.
Alright, so we're going to come into our insect room in here. And what do we have in store?
Okay, let's start with something that jumps. If you have a look in here, guys, I'll do a little bit of waking up. You can see a whole bunch of crickets. Now again, this might be something that you might be lucky enough to have in your backyard. And these are not only a sign of good health, but a very good diet for many species of animal that we have here in Australia. So like Renee said before about feeding the platypus, which some of you may have tuned in to see, crickets can be part of a platypus diet, but it can also be fed to many of our reptiles and many of our birds as well. Now, often we don't think about the cute furry animals eating things like insects, but some of our cutest, if I do say so myself, animals here at the zoo, like our gliders, like our sugar gliders, our yellow belly gliders, they actually have insects as part of their diet as well. So again, guys, you can see that they've got the freshest of food to eat. We don't spare anything so that we know that all of those good nutrients are going straight from these nice, lovely leafy greens into our insects and then straight into our animals.
And then popping up here, you may have seen these
by many amazing vets and veterinary dietitian or nutritionists that will actually be partly some mulberry leaves kind of all mulched up and kind of macerated with a few nutrients that helps these guys grow and continue to live as well. So if we don't have any mulberry leaves available for them, or they're getting a little bit dry today, we'll probably leave these in for one more day, and then that will be the end of the mulberry leaf life for these little guys, and we'll supplement them with a special silkworm food. So guys, while we do talk about many of our larger animals, you know, kangaroos, koalas, wombats, it is actually almost just as important that people pay attention to things like our insects because they are part of that really great food chain that is so important as well. But we do have a few more creepy crawly friends over here. These little mealworms, you can see that they're living in the bran. Again, part of a food source as well. So we'll feed them as well today, but some of them might be fed out as well.
That's brilliant. So we did have a question come through a bit earlier on when we were talking about the Spinifex hopping mice. Are hopping mice similar to kangaroo rats?
Yes, they are. We have kind of a few different groups of mammals here in Australia. Some are marsupials, some are not, and the Spinifex hopping mice are actually part of the group that are not. So while they don't have a pouch that they raise their young in, they are what we call communal. They do what we call communal parenting. So we might have females that will all come to a nesting area together, and they will actually share the parental roles of raising those little young. So the babies are not specific to the mum, and the mums are not specific to the baby. So it's a great kind of community raising opportunity for them.
And how small are the crickets?
Oh, how small are the crickets? Well, I'll show you a bit of a life cycle stage. Let me see if I can grab one here. So this is about a medium-sized cricket. So I wouldn't say that he has fully grown yet. He's still got a little bit of growing to do, but he's kind of on his way up. He's kind of like a teenager there. Now, if I pop him back here, and I'll show you guys something that's a little bit special actually, might be a little bit hard to see, but if you have a look in here, you might see these tiny little wiggly dots.
Jumping around like crazy.
Now, these are what we call pinhead crickets. Now, another term for a baby cricket. So these are crickets that we have bred, and they are super, super tiny and super, super fragile.
Wow.
There we go, you can see them all under there. They kind of look like lice and make your head itchy, but these are the babies. So when we supplement them and we give them our food, the right kind of warm environment, so you might hear that noisy fan up above us, that's actually to keep the humidity and the temperature the right conditions in here, and make sure that those environments are kept to an optimum for these guys, so that things like our tiny little baby crickets can actually survive, keep growing, and then one day they'll be big enough for us to feed out to our larger animals.
Brilliant. Well, one question did come in specifically asking me, so I will turn the camera around and I will answer it. But the question was, Renee, what is your least favorite creepy crawlers? So I'm quite fond of most animals. I guess the least favorite creepy crawlies would be those ticks and fleas. They do not have any good, especially with our pets that we have at home. So I guess that would be my least favorite creepy crawly. But I will end it on that. That was a little bit of a question and a bit of an answer about my own personal preferences. But we'll turn around, we'll say thank you to Maddy for doing that lovely food prep for our gorgeous animals. That food will all get fed out either later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. But I do hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the nutrition and diet of our animals and just what we get up to behind the scenes, ensuring that they do get the perfect food. But thank you so much for joining. If you do have any more questions, please pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to get to them and answer them for you. But definitely stick around on our socials. You will see a lot more animals coming up, especially later on in the week. But bye for now and enjoy the rest of your day.